Good evening, afternoon, night, morning, whenever you find a way to watch this podcast. It is me, Omar from Hardware, going on pretty much a rampant run of about three recordings in a few hours. But it's just what happens, just how it works out. But I'm in a merry mood, not just because I have my eggnog on my desk with me, getting ready for the holiday season, but I'm joined by a special guest. I'm joined by Kyle Grooms of the United Athletic Conference, and he has taken the time of day to me to just entertain my excitement for North Alabama playing on the CW and covering a couple topics too, as there was other news in the UAC that broke that are worth talking about. But Kyle, thank you for joining, and how's everything going?
Awesome. Appreciate you having me on. This is an exciting time. We got meaningful games in November, so I'm as juiced up as you are. I'm in a merry mood as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, merry is the word of the night. But yeah, can't ask for anything more than meaningful football in November. But just to start us off with our discussion, so I mean, as I talked with Dustin Helton, the Rev SFA host of Around the UAC, I mean, North Alabama is playing Florida State on the CW. Of course, I had the last podcast I was on, my guest Cuthbert of SSN Army said he feels that I unnecessarily bring that up in conversation, which is not true, but it's worth talking about. So I want to know, you just working for the league, like how big of a moment is this for North Alabama and the United Athletic Conference for the brand of the UAC?
Yeah, obviously it's a big time atmosphere that Alabama's going to go play into, playing at one of the top four in the CFP rankings at Florida State. That's just a really cool experience for those student athletes, coaches, everybody in the administration at the university, and us in the league. We've got our logo on the jersey patch, and that'll be highlighted, on a linear channel, which is really a fantastic deal for the league. It's fantastic for North Alabama and their brand. We're just excited to have that opportunity on there, and I know North Alabama, they're gonna go out there and play their tails off. Coach Dearman does a fantastic job with that bunch, and I know that they're going to be really ready to play. And North Alabama's got a lot of talent there, so very excited to go watch that.
Yeah, as am I. I mean, I'm centering my Saturday on that game for sure, whatever the score may be. But just to bring up some figures, I mean, these games, I mean, they have surprisingly good viewership in the first year of the CW, with the peak being 788,000 viewers for UNC, UVA, and even VMI drew 205,000 viewers against NC State, which is still less than half I should note of the viewership of North Alabama Mercer for the FCS kickoff, which was 457,000, which I think this is arguably like I think the biggest, I wouldn't say the biggest game, but it's like the most nationally impactful in the fact that the number three team in the country is playing on the CW. That's the most impactful game they've had this year as part of their package game. So honestly, I think a million viewers is within reach, and I do believe that that's like honestly, I mean, it's not a non-playoff game high in the FCS, but in the short history of the UAC, I don't think there's been as many viewers for a UAC game as that. I mean, of course, you can fact check me, but
Right. Now I'm gonna say every game a USC member plays is the best and most important game out there. So I'll go with that answer. But certainly it's really exciting for us as a league. You get a million eyeballs on a team and a program on the rise like North Alabama. It's fantastic. And there's other teams in our league that have that type of competition. And you look at Abilene Christian; they're going to play Texas A&M, this week, and certainly there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on that game as well, given what's transpired over the course of the last few days. But certainly, it's kind of the approach our leadership and our athletic directors and presidents have taken. It's, hey, we're gonna play everybody. We're gonna take the big boys, and we're going to go after them. So again, really excited just how the shape of the league takes place and the competition that they're playing.
yeah, absolutely. Something else I wanted to ask as well, something else that comes to mind is looking at the television situation of other leagues or the media contracts of other leagues, namely the Southern Conference. The Southern Conference has, in my opinion, a wonderful deal in terms of accessibility within their geographical footprint. They have a deal with local Nexstar owned stations, which I'm pretty sure a few of them are the CW, if not like my TV type stations, just stations with nothing better to air on a Saturday afternoon, to say the least, than FCS football, which is a great thing to air. I don't want that to come off as snarky or rudely toned, but I guess if this game on the CW is, has great viewership, if North Alabama makes a great account for the UAC, do you see a similar deal to the SoCon emerging among, I guess, local TV partners, local network TV partners of members in your league? Because there, I think, in that SoCon deal, there's a lot of markets, at least on the southeastern side of the conference, that are uncovered, that aren't covered, I guess, by that aren't in SoCon territory. So I want to know your thoughts on that.
Yes, certainly we're thrilled right now. We've got a good partner with ESPN. All of our games are on ESPN Plus, and they've been a good partner in there. But I will say that we've got our institutions are in some of the fastest growing regions in the country. There's a lot of population growth in all of the cities in which our institutions are at. And it's certainly an attractive TV market for them as well. But really, our deal with ESPN Plus, it's fantastic. We've got good partners there. We have opportunities in that to have some regional carve outs and do some fun things in that respect. But really the exposure of the league is based on the viewers and putting a really good product on the field, which I think our league has done, top to bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, those SoCon games are simulcast by ESPN Plus. I mean, simulcasting on, both a linear TV partner and a streamer is just honestly a genius way to go that a lot of FCS conferences, including the CAA. I know it gets hate for Flow Sports, which I mean, I know you being tied to a conference, I know it's probably not becoming of you to make fun of another league's conference or another league's media deal, but they find a way with their local TV partners to simulcast on Flow Sports for out of market teams and put their games on local TV and local regional sports networks. So going on to Tarleton, I guess. Yeah. Oh, I'm
Right.
sorry.
I think it's great, for FCS football being able to, watch those games live, which wasn't the case, a few years ago. The streaming platform is huge, and it's one that's certainly growing, and that's great for the growth of our sport, being able to see these games every week, and not just having to find a box score somewhere. It's really huge being able to get the streaming set
Yeah,
up on
I
that.
cannot agree more. Yeah, I cannot agree more with that statement. Going on to Tarleton, I guess that's kind of like the big topic with the league right now. How like they said we're not going to take it anymore, along with James Madison with these reclassification rules. I don't know if you can answer, if you're allowed to answer, I guess the odds on getting a favorable ruling for the league, but I guess I want to know your thoughts and I guess the odds that that Tarleton does get that approval from the NCAA.
Yeah, certainly they've put themselves in a position to be able to make that request to the NCAA. They've had a fantastic year. President Hurley and his leadership, Lon Reisman, the AD, and Coach Witten have done a tremendous job through the transition. It's really impressive what they've done in Stephenville for sure. And this year they've really set themselves in a position to sort of make that ask. They're 7-2 against the FCS this year. They've won 8 games. They set a program record for them for a number of wins. And it's kind of something that's sort of at the core of our membership is, we've allowed the transitioning teams to be eligible to win our conference as a champion, and our stance is if you're good enough to compete and win a championship in our league, you ought to be able to be considered for the postseason and playoff push. That's something I think both of our parent conferences have gone out on record and said as well. It's kind of at the core of our membership is, hey, these kids deserve a chance to compete in the postseason, and we'll keep supporting those institutions because they certainly are deserving. I would give a lot of kudos to Tarleton and what they've done this year.
Absolutely, and I mean, they're gonna be a force to be reckoned with. I mean, they're in a rich recruiting area in Texas. I mean, they have all the money, I mean, in the world, it seems like, I guess relative to an FCS program. So I'm excited to see the direction that that program goes in. And I mean, they definitely they look like a sleeping giant that has awakened, for sure. Something I wanted to ask from I guess from a conference perspective, I guess like I don't wanna wish this or speak this into existence, but say the NCAA does not rule favorably for Tarleton. Are there talks of getting Tarleton another game with, just another postseason game to end the season on a high note after the unspeakable tragedy at Northwestern State? I know Incarnate Word will only play 10 games this year, so possibly a Lone Star State type of bowl game, I mean, is that even in the cards, or is that something I just kinda like, kind of a dumb idea I just thought of.
Yeah, no, I think we'd have to check on the NCAA rules, but Tarleton did play a full slate of 11 games this year, so I think there would have to be something in that respect. But that's maybe a bridge we cross at another time. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not wishing that into existence, but just saying, hopefully, maybe something could be brewing, maybe a nice consolation against a quality program for sure. Something else I wanted to ask. I know the schedule was released today for the UAC, so it's a big day all around for the UAC. I kind of want to know the philosophy from going with a 6 game schedule. I think was it this year or last year to an 8 game schedule, especially with the new membership with West Georgia joining the conference.
Yeah, definitely, good question. That's something we thought long and hard and had a lengthy conversations as we were building the league from the get go, is where we wanted to be from a number of games standpoint in our conference. And as it shaped out, as we put the league together, 6 is what we landed on for the 23 season. And a lot of that had to do with previously scheduled conference matchups and what it would take to buy those games out or move them, or just getting the available play dates was really where that landed. And I think everybody, from the presidents and athletic directors, all agreed we wanted to get to an 8 game schedule, knowing that the league that we have and the members that we have are really strong. And if we could get to an 8 game league conference schedule, the strength of that league is going to carry a lot of water. Come getting in multiple teams in the playoffs, and that's a big aim for this group, is getting multiple teams in the dance. So we all felt that the 8 game schedule, given where our league membership and how important football is on those institutions, and how well they operate, 8 game gave us the best chance to really put our best foot forward to get multiple teams in.
Yeah, I mean, I like that mindset a lot. I think it's interesting too with the trouble that the CAA is running into with determining their auto bid. I think it's just great to have as many as the teams in your league play as possible. Just really settle it and not let a calculator settle your bid. That's not a shot at the CAA, but I mean, it is a very messy situation there with the amount of teams that they have. So I do commend the effort to add an 8 game schedule. Something I wanted to ask, as your conference has a pretty vast geographical footprint across the United States. I mean, obviously, the name is United Athletic Conference, and the imagery is, the stars and stripes. I guess with the new schedule, are protected rivalries a thing? Like, are you trying to preserve, say, Abilene Christian versus Tarleton, a Lone Star State matchup, or trying to preserve matchups from, I guess, from old A-Sun members playing each other? Is that a thing with the new schedule in the future?
Yeah, that's a really good question as well. Certainly, that's in consideration, but one of the things our athletic directors talked about was, hey, let's build the best possible schedule that we can have. Certainly, preserving a lot of those rivalries is big. You look at what's happening in this weekend in the UAC. You've got a huge matchup with Utah Tech and Southern Utah, a long-standing rivalry between those two programs that are separated by about 45 minutes. And over there in Greater Zion Stadium, St. George, it's going to be packed. It's going to be a sellout. It's as intense of a rivalry as you're going to get. And same goes for some of those rivalries with Tarleton and Abilene and Stephen F. Austin and Abilene and Eastern Kentucky, Central Arkansas, and Austin P. And everybody's got really good rivalries. In North Alabama as well, going back with a lot of the history that they have with Central Arkansas, et cetera. But so that's certainly something we factor in. You always want to play somebody that you've had history with, and that's in your backyard. So as we build those schedules, we want to build the best possible schedule for every team while protecting, some of those traditional matchups as well. So we will get in situations where we'll have to rotate somebody off, but it's all fair and it's all balanced and it all works well.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I'm just glad that there's emphasis on, those rivalries, keeping those rivalries, if not yearly, mostly yearly. So I'm excited to see the new schedules shape out. I know 2024 just got announced, so 1 year at a time. But I mean, I just love the emphasis, even in a league with as much sprawl as your league.
Yeah.
One final question I wanted to ask, I guess, like what
And we're
excites
working
you?
on 25 now. So we got
Oh,
24.
okay.
We're working on 25 and we're excited. We got West Georgia built into 24, which helped in a lot of circumstances. And then in 25, we're adding another team in the league with Texas Rio Grande Valley. So UTRGV is starting a program starting at 25, and they'll be immediately eligible for the playoffs, and they'll fold right in, be another member with us, and they'll jump right in the boat with their 8-game conference schedule. So it never stops, and it's always exciting.
Absolutely. Something I want to ask with UTRGV. Is there any talk about UTRGV playing a UAC opponent in Mexico? I mean, they're pretty close to the border. It's feasible. I want to know your thoughts about that, about a potential like in-season bowl game for the UAC in
Uh,
Mexico.
I'll tell you what, if it's anywhere in and around the RGV region, it'll be well attended. I'm sure. RGV, everything that happens right there in the valley, they're a football hungry region. It's going to be awesome, but um, we'll we'll just build our schedule and we'll see where it goes. But certainly the excitement down there around UTRGV football is certainly building. Chase Conk, their AD, and Travis Bush, their head coach, have done a tremendous job just building up a big buzz around that program starting. So I see on social media and Twitter all the time about new ticket sales and big donations and recruits and all of these things. So the the buzz is building in the valley.
Absolutely. I mean, that's also what I've heard as well. That there really is no program like in that region that really holds a flag. So I'm excited to see them, it could be another sleeping giant. Well, I mean, shoot, I mean they're not even a sleeping giant, it could be another fast riser in the FCS. I just hope they play Mexico though. Would definitely be cool. I mean,
That would be
uh,
cool. I'll volunteer to go to that trip.
I would too. I would too. That's really all the questions I have. Really, Kyle. Do you wanna I guess add anything else? Anything else you want to plug about the conference or anything else that I guess my viewership should know about the UAC?
Shoot, we didn't even talk about the big game of the week. This
Right.
week, we're we're down. You alluded to it before, but we're letting the players settle it on the field. Uh, Austin P, Central Arkansas will play this week in Clarksville for the winner gets the auto bid. So it's going to be an exciting one. I'll be at that game and really excited to watch both those teams play. And both those teams, I'm a little biased here, but I think both those teams ought to be in the FCS playoffs, regardless of what happens. They've both had tremendous years, and really, credit to both of those coaches, administrations, institutions. That really something to be proud of. But I'll stand on a table. I'll pound my fist. Both those teams need to be in the playoff.
Yeah, I know on both teams. I know Austin P is, I think, at this point 8-1 against FCS competition, and then Central Arkansas. I mean, they were really competitive against the Oklahoma State team that has a straight path to the Big 12 title and a New Year's Six bowl. So definitely a great game. There's just so many great games this weekend in the FCS. There's nothing like the final week in the FCS because you got traditional rivalries. You have games like this where everything's on the line essentially. I mean, and not just this conference, but multiple conferences. So there really is nothing like it, honestly. I mean, nothing like a true playoff system. Can't beat the FCS playoff with 24 teams. You really can't.
Yeah, I mean, meaningful games in November. That's what you want. And the way the FCS is shaped up, it's almost like the whole season is a playoff. Every game matters. Every game's important. The margin is so thin that it feels like a playoff each and every week. So that's what's so exciting. But it gets ratcheted up even more so coming this last week of the season. So again, really excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I am too. And shoot, my mistake for not alluding, not even mentioning the game of the week, for
Hey, I'll
sure.
forgive you. There's too many exciting things to talk about in the UAC.
Yeah, exactly. I mean that's what I would expect you to say about your conference. I mean, I think it's great marketing. Yeah, but now I have nothing else to add. Is there anything final that you wanna say about the UAC? It's something that my viewership should like hold near and dear to their hearts when thinking about the UAC.
Man, I appreciate what you do for FCS football, honestly, and all of everybody that's talking about us. This is a really fun time in college athletics, and something really exciting to be a part of with the UAC and what we're building here, and hopefully we're around for quite a long time, and you're seeing our logos on teams that make deep runs in the playoffs. So that's what we're excited about. That's what we're here for. That's what we're building.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a great logo. I mean, just be on the lookout for it come playoff time. I know that logo looked good on Austin P's like 101st Airborne Division uniforms
Yeah.
for sure. So I mean, that was pretty nice. That was pretty nice of them because yeah, but yeah, that's all I have. Just make sure you tune in not just to the CW for North Alabama versus Florida State, a I mean, just a close up of the UAC, but just all the other games, especially the game of the weeks, Central Arkansas, Austin P. And there's just plenty of great games in the FCS and especially in the UAC. So until next time, everyone, peace, love, and soul, and tune into the UAC.